Hi and welcome back. So we are in module 2. So in this video we will start diving deep into dimensional modeling in event house and fabric. So we are done with data ingestion into event house. We have loaded the TCS staging table at this point. So in this video, before we dive into building dimensions and then building the stock fact table, and then further on with the modeling part, I just wanted to provide you with a quick introduction to KQL, which is Kusto Query Language. So why we are going with KQL and how it is different from SQL, Structured Query Language. Okay, so and then we can probably in the next video I will show you how you can transform your data, or even before transformation we can look at how we can bring in the dimensions like stock dimension, date dimension, okay, and then how you can load the stock fact from your TCS staging table by joining with the required dimensions. So that we can look at, and then we can move on further in the course to do the required transformation, like we can do a feature engineering to calculate the daily price changes, and then we can also look at how we can calculate the moving average. So a couple of ways we can do that. I will show you both in the subsequent videos to how you can do the calculation, write within the KQL using KQL experience to pre-compute it and store it, or the other way around. I think we can do it directly in the semantic model. Once we have the semantic model ready, we can do we can achieve the same function with the help of DAX expressions as well. So we will see both at that point in time, but for this video let's quickly get into what KQL is. So I'll try to help you with some familiarity with KQL so that you can get started. So let me move on. So here I'm in Fabric portal. So I think I can share the Kusto documentation, the Kusto Query Language documentation in the same lesson below, and also I will point you to a few quick reference guides so that you can learn some of the common operators used in Kusto Query Language, and how you can use aggregation functions, how you can join different tables inside the event house. So what KQL is, to give you a bit of introduction, so it is a very powerful tool to explore your data and uncover some patterns in large scale data sets, right? So, and you can do this for structured, even unstructured and semi-structured data. Okay, SQL is kind of restricted to only to the structured data, but KQL is something you can use it for streaming data as well, and that's exactly what we are going to learn in this course. So when you're building event house, you will have a dedicated KQL database, and then you can start building the tables in the KQL database, and then you can start writing your KQL queries right within the database to explore the data further. Okay, so it's a very powerful tool, and the language is expressive and straightforward as well, making it very easy to read and understand. So if you're very familiar with SQL, and if you're an expert in SQL, then I would say probably KQL is very easy to learn, or you can learn it very quickly if you're already familiar with SQL. So the syntax is little bit, it will change, but it will be kind of straightforward and very easy to read and understand, okay, the intent of the queries. So we'll see some examples. I'll show you some examples in this video so that you can start learning Kusto Query Language, KQL, and then start implementing or write some queries and practice some queries as you watch this video and get some familiarity. So as we move along in the course, I think it will be then easy for you to follow along when we are doing the stock fact loading by joining with different dimensions, because this fact loading from TCS staging table, by joining it with required dimensions, we are going to do it in KQL. So get some familiarity, and then also the pre-computation of some of the feature engineering that we are going to do to extend the tables, like as I mentioned, the moving average calculation, daily price change calculation for TCS we'll be doing right within the KQL experience, so that you'll gain good understanding of how you can write some KQL queries and interpret. Because if you look at any real-time use case, streaming use cases, you must know KQL. Okay, so if you're building event house, you must know KQL to see how you can explore the data by writing some KQL queries. Okay, so, and I promise you it will be very easy to learn. So if you're watching this, so let's dive in to see some of the examples, some of the common operators that you can use as well. Okay, I'll share the link for this quick reference guide in the same lesson so that you can practice along. Okay, so I'm in Microsoft documentation, so we will go through some of the common operators that you can use. Well, before we get into some of the common operators to learn more about it, so let me help you with some of the common types of query statements that you can use. So what is a Kusto query? It's a read-only request to process your data and return results. Okay, so it's read-only. Okay, whatever query that you are going to run against your database. Okay, what is a query statement? So there are three different kinds of query statements that you can, but for the purpose of this course, let's stick to the tabular expression statement. We have let and set, so don't worry about it much. So we will keep things simple. So a tabular expression statement is the most common kind of query statement. Okay, so what I want you to understand here is it is kind of a sequence, which we separated or sequenced by a pipe. Okay, so I'll show you some samples shortly, but it starts with the table name or tabular input. Okay, and then we will separate each and every sequence by a pipe. Okay, so that's how the data flows from one operator to the next, and then the data is filtered or manipulated at each and every step. For example, if you want to apply some filters with var clause, you need to do it in the next step with the pipe separator. Okay, so we'll see that in action quickly. It's like a funnel where you start out with the entire data table. Each time the data passes through another operator, it is filtered or rearranged or kind of aggregated, so whatever operators you are applying. So let me go back to some of the common operators. Let's say you want to apply count on the table. So it is very simple. So here we are looking at sample storm events table that Microsoft is providing here, and all we are doing is we are saying the table name and then with the pipe count. So as easy as it, right? So but let me show you a few more. Like if you need to look at a sample of data, like in SQL we'll do a top 10, top 20, whatever it is. So here it is like the operator is take 5 or take 10, so which will show you the top 5 rows from the storm events table. Okay, so we'll go through a few to give you some familiarity with KQL, right? So and you need to know about project operator as well. So in case if you need to have like this acts as a select in SQL. Okay, so if you need to project only select columns from your table, you can use project operator and then pull only the required columns, a subset of columns. That is one thing. We have also used this in our use case, the stock market use case. When we load the fact table, I'll show you. We have used the project as well. Okay. But project is one thing which is important, and how do you list unique values? The same keyword like in SQL, distinct, and then the column name from this table. So all you have to do it with the piped operator. So a simple, very simple. Okay, so but it is quite readable and easy to understand. So that's the reason I said it can be learned quickly. So don't worry much about it. So you can learn. So be confident about it. So if you want to sort, let's say you want to sort the results, the storm events, and then same var clause like in SQL we are using, then the column name, status, Texas, and event type. So very much similar to SQL, only like we are not using select and then using var. Instead we are using the table name like a funnel at the top, and then every keyword or operator will be like a step after pipe operator. Okay, and then we are sorting it by and then projecting some of the columns. So now I think by now you have some confidence that you can use KQL if you are already familiar with SQL. Okay, so it's easy to learn, I would say. You can quickly learn it. And if you want to filter by condition, let's say again same var class you can use and then project it. Okay, let us look at some of the aggregation functions to give you a glimpse how you can use it. So the summarize operator, so if you want to summarize, let's say if you want to summarize the number of events by state, you can do that. Let's say total storms uh, equals count by state. So this will give you the number of events, storm events by the state level, right? So you need to use summarize operator. Okay, and the results look like this. Every state, what are the total number of storms, right? So it's pretty much like grouping in SQL, but a bit different syntax. We are using summarize instead of grouping, and then we are saying count by which column we need to group it. That's it. So, and then you can visualize. You can also use render operator to write some charts in Kusto. Okay, so to visualize the query results. And yeah, you can go through whatever Microsoft is providing to get a good head start, I would say, before you jump on to the next video. So get a bit of practice, and then I think you'll be familiar with KQL. Okay, so and let's quickly look at joining, how you can join the data, because it is pretty much essential. So how do you do join from multiple tables? It is pretty much the join operator. So let me show you that. So I want to join the table. So let's say I want to join the population data table with storm events on the common state column. Okay, so the state column is the key between these two tables. So between the population and storm events, I need to perform a join to find the total property damage caused by storms per capita by state. So how are we doing this? Storm events, then summarize, group it, the property damage, sum of damage property column by state. So that will do the required grouping. Okay, that will give me the property damage, and then we are using join operator, and we are saying what should be the kind of join, like inner unique join with the population data. And similar to SQL, when you do a join, you're performing, I mean, the keyword will be like inner join in SQL, but here we are mentioning the kind and the right table on which key column we need to join. That's it. And we are projecting some of the columns that we require. Okay, so property damage per capita, they're having some calculation here, the property damage divided by the population column, that will give them the property damage per capita. So this is one such example. Then you can sort it by property damage per capita, and then you can add render to draw some useful charts like this. Okay, so I think this is based on storm events sample database that you can see here. Okay, so even you can play around with this sample database related to storm events. Okay, and then the population data, and what we have seen here is join between those two to find the total property damage caused by storms per capita by state. Okay, so and we are achieving this with the help of summarize function, and we are joining with population data on state column. Okay, and grouping is also based on state, as we have seen, and we are projecting the required columns and then finally sorting it. And when we project, I think we are calculating the property damage per capita by dividing the property damage that we calculated for every state divided by the population. Okay, that will give you the results. So I hope by now you have a bit of understanding, some good understanding on KQL, so which will help you to follow along in the subsequent videos, with our use case stock market analytics. Okay, so I'll see you in the next video.